Hello, and welcome to the Washwood Heath Multi-Academy Trust How to Use Microsoft Teams series. In this second episode, we're going to look at the different features of Microsoft Teams on the left-hand toolbar. These features can be found as soon as a student has logged into their Microsoft Teams account, and they can be found on the left-hand toolbar. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to share my screen so that I can show you this in practice. Once a student has logged on to Microsoft Teams and their account, either via their desktop app on their computer, or via the Office 365 login, or via a mobile phone device through their app, or through PlayStation 4 or their Xbox, this screen will then appear. There are many features on the left-hand toolbar where my cursor is now that students, parents, carers need to be aware of. And this tutorial will help students understand how they can use these features for their own remote learning during this period. The first thing you'll see is in the top left-hand corner is the app launcher. It's the 9 dots in the top left-hand corner. Word, PowerPoint, Excel. They've got other SharePoint where there's loads of other resources that students can use, their emails and so forth as well. What we've then got here is if they then click the 9 dots, okay, they then should disappear. Okay. The next thing you'll find is the activity icon. In this activity icon, this will give students any information of key updates that their teachers have given them about assignments, which I'll come on to in a moment, about live lessons that will be appearing, or any other key notices their teachers are going to give to them. So it's really important that students keep an eye on their activity icon to see any key updates from their teachers of things that they will need to do. It will also come, when there's a new message, it will come up with an icon next to the bell where it will say 1 or 2 or 3 and so forth for the amount of new notices that are on their feed, on their activity feed. The next bit that you'll see is you will then see the Teams icon on the left hand side. This will contain all of the classes that students are attached to If a student clicks a particular class, I'm going to click this particular Year 11 history class, what they will find is they will then find a number of different things within this particular section of their class. This is the class's team page for a particular subject. So in this case, this is the History 11 CT History 1 Teams page for that particular class at Saltley Academy. The first thing you will find here is that you will find that you have at the top of the Teams page, you'll find that there are many different things here to be aware of. There's a post section where the teacher for this class, so Mr. Cassidy, will post for his history students in Year 11 some key notices about assignments coming up that the students have to do, any live lessons that will appear, or any other key notices that he needs to get across. A student can ask a comment to their teacher or ask something by clicking the new conversation button here, and that will give students the option to post a message to their teacher if they've got a query about the work or a query about one aspect of their remote learning, and their teacher will be able to respond. The next thing you'll find is the Files section. Now, this Files section is very, very important because this is where the students will be able to find the resources for a particular subject on this section of Microsoft Teams. On the Files section, it will have a class materials folder, which will contain lesson resources for the students to use that their teacher will put up there. There's also a student work folder that students can also use if they want to for their work, and also to store their work. And also other teachers may have other folders. So in this case, Mr. Cassidy has got a lesson materials folder which will contain all of the lessons in there for his particular class. Okay, as you can see here, dated and the time that lesson normally takes place. In an individual folder, what it will have is it will contain the files for a particular lesson that the teacher has put in there, so students can refer back to that in their own time or during the time the lesson normally takes place. You've then got the class notebook feature. This feature is just a feature that a teacher can set up for their class. In this case, Mr. Cassidy hasn't set it up for his class because it doesn't need to be needed. So that's just a feature that teachers may set up for their pupils, and they'll tell their pupils if they need to use that, where and when. The next feature here is the assignments feature. Now, in this assignments section, the teacher, if they've set up the assignments for the class, they will find it appearing here. But for this demonstration, I haven't put anything in there for this demonstration because it's not to do with the assignments. But the assignments will appear for the class in this section here as well. In terms of then, you've then got other things like the grade section and resources. Now, the resources section here will contain resources that are applicable to all Year 11 classes, or all of the classes in that year group for that particular subject. So here in history for Year 11, Miss Bowlier has put up some resources that all students can use. So, for example, we've got here like a textbook. We've got the revision materials there as well that all Year 11s can use. But just to be absolutely clear, this resources section is just contains the resources for a particular year group, all of the classes within that year group for a particular subject. For a student to find the resources for their individual class that their individual teacher has allocated to them, they need to go to the file section. Just repeat again. So they click the file section and they can access them via the class materials folder, or if their teacher, like in this case, has put another folder up for them where it says lesson materials in there. They can then return to their other classes by clicking all teams, and then what it would show is that it would then show all of their classes for all their different subjects would appear here. But as this is a student test account, I've only got the one class that has been attached for this demonstration. The next thing you'll find, as we talked about earlier, is the assignments section. Now, the assignments section contains assignments that teachers have put up for their students to complete during their remote learning period. What we will see here is students will be able to have a list of all the assignments all of their teachers have set for them for all their different subjects, and they'll appear in this section here. But as I said previously, you can also access the assignments for a particular class by going to Teams, okay, clicking the class, and then once they're activated, they will then appear in this assignment section here. Okay, they'll appear there once the teacher has set them up for that particular class. Okay, just for this demonstration, I haven't set up the assignments to appear here, but for you, it will, for your other lessons, it will appear for your class, for a particular class, in this section here as well. So in the assignments section here, it will detail, just to recap, all of the assignments that your teacher has set you. Your teachers have set you for all the different subjects, and it will contain like the date that it's due, what subject it is, and it will give clear instructions as to what you need to do. So how you would access this is just clicking on one of the links, okay, and it will then take you to the instructions page where it will then give you the detail of the instructions, any resources that you need to use, and then you would just need to add your work by clicking the add work box here. And then you'll be able to attach your work to this feed, and then turn it into the teacher so they can mark it. There'll be another episode covering how to do assignments later on in this series, so I'll touch on that when we get to that point. The next point that you'll see is the next feature you'll see is the classes that will appear, obviously, for lessons that you've got on your calendar page. Okay. Normally, what will appear is that, depending on what your school does, you will see that all of your lessons will then appear on the calendar page. They will appear Monday to Friday, and all of your subjects will then appear. At Saltley Academy, what we've got is we have a number of different ways that students are completing remote learning. That will either be a live lesson, a recorded lesson, or a student's independent study work lesson. Okay, and it will clearly state it on here. Now, just for this demonstration, you will see that there are lessons on the Sunday column here, Students won't have obviously lessons on a Sunday, but it's just for the nature of doing this particular video. So what students will need to do is they can look at a particular lesson. They can click the actual box, and then it will give details of what the lesson is. What the lesson is. So I can see here that's a live lesson where students will join that one, and it will give details of the time that it will take place, as well as any other instructions will appear here. Okay. Students can accept the invitation by clicking this box and then accepting here, so that the teacher knows that that they have obviously seen that lesson, and then it will appear in their calendar as well. It's important that students are attending all of the lessons and do all of the lessons on Microsoft Teams, or completing all of the work that's been set by their teachers via this. And as I say, what you'll be able to see is you'll be able to see all of your lessons appearing in the calendar here. Okay, and I will, in another webinar tutorial, I will explain for the Academy students what the different kinds of lessons that you will have. Either a live lesson, as you can see here, where it says a live maths lesson, I can see here. Here I can also see a recorded lesson, which is another one, and then also you might also see a student's, as is evidenced here, a student's independent study lesson. And in a future webinar, I will go through how those different lessons operate and what students need to do for each one of those types of different lessons as well. You then also have the file section here, and here it will have any key files that you've stored in your OneDrive section, and also any other key files that you've got will all be stored here for your own personal use. And then we've then also got the apps column here, and then what this apps feature does is there's other apps that students may use during their lessons, and to access any of these apps you can go through here and search for a particular app that you need to use. There are also as well, if you click the help icon here, there is also some other video tutorials and other guidance on how to use Microsoft Teams, training videos that you can watch, and other things that students can look at to find out how to use Microsoft Teams in addition to these videos as well. The final thing that is very, very important that I need to also stress is that you'll see on the calendars feature a new meetings button here. That is just appearing for teachers only. Students won't be able to set up a new meeting, so that particular feature doesn't need to be used by students, and you won't be able to access that as well. And then the final thing that is just to make you aware is in the top right hand corner here, if you click it, it will be for your own account, and then you've obviously got other features here that you can use. So you can also, through although I've gone through Office 365 here and used the web app, I can also use, for example, download the desktop app for Microsoft Teams to my desktop. I can also download the mobile app to my mobile device. And then also here is where, after you finish with Microsoft Teams, it is very important that you sign out, and then obviously you can then sign back in again. So in this second episode of the Washford Heath Multi Academy Trust How to Use Microsoft Teams series, we have focused on the different features of Microsoft Teams on the left-hand toolbar. Thank you for watching. We hope you found this episode useful.